Hi, I'm Andrea. Welcome to this 30-minute yoga practice. So happy to have you here with me. I think it's going to work best if you situate your mat so the short edge is facing me. That way we'll be able to see each other the best. I, however, will probably move my mat around a little bit as we go. So don't feel like you need to do that. I'm doing that so that you can best see me. If you don't have a yoga mat, don't worry about it. A carpeted area that's not too slippery would be just fine. I happen to be barefoot. If you're more comfortable with shoes on, that's okay too. I always like to have a chair at the ready. There are some practices where we actually use it quite a bit. We may or may not, or you may or may not today, but better to be on the safe side and have it close by. Also, a couple of blocks, thick, heavy books will do, and something folded like a throw blanket from your couch or a nice plush beach towel to pad knees and do things like that as we go. Once you got that, start standing in the middle of your space. So facing, if you have a mat, the long edge of your mat. I'm going to turn and face you, but you'll be in the middle of your mat and we'll meet in our mountain as we often do. Feet hip distance. A little play of balance forward and back and side to side. Turn your palms away from one another and just feel the uplift to your heart. And that's something that we're going to emphasize in this practice, is really leading from our heart. It's easy to say that, to give it lip service, but what about embodying that? So that as we stand, we feel a lift from our heart that leads the way we think, the choices we make, how we are towards ourselves and to other people. With that in mind, standing tall in your mountain, lean your head back a little bit, smile your collarbones open, see if you can align your hips over your heels. And from this gorgeous, glorious heart open posture, find your breath. Deep, rich inhales through your nose. Complete exhales, also through your nose, although the occasional exhale through your mouth might be a great way to let go of some stress. Stay for just a couple more moments here, landing in our mountain. We'll add a little bit of movement here. Inhale, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. And then exhale and float your arms alongside your body. 2 more times like that. Inhale, arms out and up. A little tiny bend in your knees is a great idea. And then exhale, float the arms alongside your body. 1 more time. Inhale, arms out and up, a V shape with your thumbs to the sky. And then let your arms float down, turn the palms out, lead from your heart as we stand. Now interlace your hands behind your back. I'm going to turn so that you can see what I'm up to here. And interlace behind your back. And as you do that, here's the side view. We don't want to let this kind of thing start to happen. So draw your belly in, find that beautiful stance in your mountain, and drag your knuckles down so that that uplift of our heart becomes even more so. Breathe into the new crop of sensations that you're feeling here. Not sensations that feel too loud or sharp, just evidence that something's happening, opening. Now bending at the elbows, tuck your interlace at your right hip, sort of like if you were holding a grocery bag or your grandkid on your hip. And then begin to bring the elbows towards one another, and that doesn't have to be a lot, just a little. And remember, the uplift of the heart is not a dump in your low back, so let your low belly lift. Stay here for a few cycles of breath. Now just notice before we leave it, which of your pinkies is on the bottom of your interlace, and then drag that interlace down, reconfigure so that the other pinky is now on the bottom. Take a moment to drag your knuckles down and to adjust the low belly lifting. We're also not jutting our chin forward. We're letting this happen right in that heart center. And then bend your elbows and take your little groceries or grandkid over to your left hip. Buffer it with a little bend in your knees, and then just let there be magnets on your elbows, like you're bringing your elbows towards one another. And then keep breathing in and out through your nose. Couple more moments, finding the sticky bits there in the chest area and the shoulders. And then gently, slowly, let your interlace reach down towards the ground and take your arms out to the side. Inhale, V shape overhead. Exhale, arms along your side. One more little arm configuration, arms out to the side. Turn your thumbs to face down. Some of you will bring a prayer behind your back. Again, I'm going to turn so you can see me. Most of us will probably bring fists together, like a little fist pump behind your back, or hold your elbows. And then once you find where it works for you, lift from your heart. Let part of that be a celebration of whichever of those you are doing right now. Lift the low belly. Let this be true of living in your shoulders. Lean your head back a little bit. Steady breathing. Little buffer of bend in your knees. Probably some feedback in your chest. 2 more moments. And then gently, slowly release this. Step wide on your mat. I'm going to turn my mat a little bit sideways so that you can see me. You're going to keep yours just as you are. You're perfect as you are. A wide stance, thumbs to the sky. Aim your ankles underneath your wrists and then turn your right leg out so your right foot faces the back edge of your mat and cheat your back heel back at a 45-degree angle. Bend your front knee and just measure as best you can that you have a vertical line from your knee to your ankle, and then straighten your arms. We'll do our dynamic warrior 2. Bend the front knee as you exhale. Inhale, V shape overhead, front leg straight. Bend your front knee as you exhale. One more time, V shape overhead. Bend your front knee, arms extend wide out to the side. And now take your right forearm across your thigh. Keep your left thumb to the sky. There's a gentle little nudge of your right thigh bone towards the right. Now, like our prayer that we did a moment ago, turn your left thumb down and weave that arm behind your back so it feels kind of like a half prayer, except that your hand is aiming for this crease at your hip. Remember the sensations of opening in your chest that you found with your prayer behind your back, and let them find you here. There's a karate chop of that right forearm, so we're not crumbling, we're leading with our heart. And we're breathing into this shape. Last few moments as we are here together. Still the low belly lifts, just like our standing poses a moment ago. Now free your left arm up to the sky, thumb to the sky. Come up to a warrior 2, and then straighten your front leg, lower your arms, and turn the whole boat around. So first turn your toes to face the long edge of your mat. Rotate from your hip, your left foot to face the short edge of your mat. Cheat your back, heel back, thumbs to the sky, warrior 2, bend the front knee, and we'll be dynamic. So straighten the front leg, take the V shape with your arms overhead. That's the inhale. Exhale into your warrior 2. Inhale, V shape overhead. Exhale, warrior 2. And then one more time. Inhale, V shape overhead. Bend your front knee, thumbs to the sky. We snuggle into our warrior 2 for a moment. Really feel an emphasis into your left heel. So stand into that left heel with a little oomph. Keep the oomph. Take your left forearm across your thigh. For the time being, right thumb to the sky. Just see if you can convince your left hip underneath you, feel like you're standing in your mountain in the back leg. And then just like our prayer a moment ago, Turn your thumb to face down and weave your top arm behind your back. It's aiming towards the crease of your hip. If it's back at the low back, it's all good. Lead from your heart in every way. Karate chop your left forearm into your thigh, rotate your chest to the sky, and then let it run a little bit deeper. So there's a sweetness to your postures, even though it's getting a little bit intense being here. And that's what I mean about embodying it. So we put it in the shape of the pose, but then it runs a little bit deeper. It makes its way into the spirit part of body, mind, spirit. That is yoga. Now come back upright. Actually take your right arm to the sky, I believe is how we did it on the first side. And then come up to warrior two. And slowly straighten your front leg. Turn all of your toes to face the long edge of your mat and heel toe until your feet are hip distance. We have a bit of proppage to take care of for our next thing. I'm going to do triangle using my tall blocks. Some of you might like to do triangle with your hand on the base of your chair. And if that's you, move your chair to the middle of your mat where it's going to be the easiest to get your hand to. You'll notice my setup of blocks, so I'm not tripping myself over them, I hope. And they're like a little further back, right? Then we'll take our wide stance, thumbs to the sky, so your ankles underneath wrists again is kind of the measurement. Then turn your right leg out from the hip, point that right foot to the short edge of your mat, cheat your back heel at a 45-degree angle. Always important that this doesn't become side flexion. So just make sure it doesn't look like what I'm doing right now. That instead, there's a little sass to your left hip. You hinge at the hip, reach out and find either the seat of your chair or your tall block. Left thumb is to the sky for the time being. Breath is steady. Now turn your thumb down like we did in our prayer behind your back and in that side angle pose we just did. And then weave your top arm behind your back, this time with a straight leg, but it's never a locked out leg. So press into your right big toe mound and feel like even that is leading from your heart. There's a softness. There's something that's more fluid than feeling like you're locked out. Breathe your breath into this new shape. As you lead from the heart, you're trying not to scrunch shoulders into ears either. Last couple of moments here. So beautiful. Float your left arm to the sky, thumb to the sky. Promise me that you are firming your belly and firming through your feet. Come all the way upright. Now we just want to be careful that we're still not tripping ourselves. So you may want to move that block you just used off your mat. Turn all toes to face the long edge. And then left leg turns out. Left foot faces the short edge of your mat. Cheat your right heel at that 45-degree angle. Arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Hinge at your hip. So you're reaching out and long, and then either hand to the base of your chair or hand to your tall block. For the time being, we have the thumb to the sky. Think about the fluidity of pressing into your left big toe mound so that although your front leg is straight, it's not locked. Turn your top thumb down and weave that arm behind your back. We're not shrugging shoulders into ears, and we're rotating our heart to the sky. Sip the sweetness and sip the silence for a few moments here in our triangle on this side. Stay with it. I'm giving you silence on purpose. Sometimes the silence gets a little bit loud, doesn't it? Come back to your breath. Experience the sensations and know that all of us have that where it gets a bit loud when it's silent. Now just float your right arm up to the sky, firm through your feet and your belly. and come all the way upright. Turn your toes to face the long edge of your mat. Dismount carefully, heel toe, heel toe. Once you're hip distance and it feels a bit like our mountain, we'll maneuver our next assignment. Take your props out of the way. Again, I'm going to move my mat. You're not going to move yours. You don't have to. But what you may want to do is bring your towel, your folded blanket or towel into the mix. So as we come onto our hands and knees here, and we'll take a little bit of a sun salutation to get there. Inhale, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Exhale at your hips, and then hands to your thighs. Inhale, grow long, appreciate that space. When you exhale and hinge, hands come to the base of your chair, maybe to your blocks, but we make our way onto the ground and onto our hands and knees. I'm going to turn at an angle to be facing you straight forward. From here, extend your right leg back behind you like you're doing a plank. So I'll turn a little sideways so you can see me. Now, as you do that, I want you to make sure that you're not too far forward. I'm sort of exaggerating so you see. I don't want that for your wrists. But your arms aren't too far forward where it becomes this kind of a thing either. So mindfully place wrists right under shoulders, and you have your right leg extended back behind you in space. Take your left arm, reach your left arm forward, thumb faces the sky like you're shaking somebody's hand. So basically what I'm saying is it's 2019 when we could shake each other's hands. You're a time traveler here in this pose. Now you can stay just like this or lift your right leg off your mat. The padding underneath your knee might be key, and you can also curl your left toes under to add a little bit more support for that bottom knee. Anytime you need a break, just know that you're welcome to take breaks. Push into your right hand so there's no collapse there either. And then just carefully and playfully bring your left elbow to your right knee as you exhale, and then inhale and reach the two apart. And if you wanted to, you could always tap the right foot on the ground for a little bit of support. Exhale, bring the two together. Beautiful. Inhale, reach them apart. One more time, bring them together. And then reach them apart. This part is just an experiment. That's our story and we're sticking to it. Start to bend your right knee and then take your left arm and reach back like that prayer behind our back towards the foot. Now there may be one or two of you who can grab the foot, that's fine, but there's benefit to reaching towards it without holding on. And then there's leverage when you hold on that makes it feel like you can go a little bit more into a stretch. They're both good. Strength and flexibility are actually friends. They are not counter to each other. And then we have two more moments here. You're probably gonna have to push into that right hand a bit. You might be getting a little tired. Reach the left arm forward and the right leg back one more time, and then release the whole thing down into child's pose. Your knees can be quite far apart or a little bit closer to one another, but just take a second in your child's pose to rest and also maybe to do a little bit of a wrist release. A couple of moments where we are. And then back to hands and knees, and the same mindfulness as we construct shoulders over wrists, low belly lifts, left leg steps back onto the ground as if you were going to do a plank position. And now it's your right arm that is traveling back to 2019 and shaking hands with someone. Anytime you want to return to the knee or the foot on the ground, just know that you can do that. Maybe lift your left leg. Now you have to be careful that it doesn't sag into the low back like it's possibly doing with me right now. And you want to push into that left hand so there's oomph. And then breathe and grow long from your right fingertips to your left heel. Two more moments here. Exhale together, right elbow, left knee, and then inhale and reach the two apart, but keep that beautiful spaciousness. Exhale, bring them together without a collapse into the left shoulder. Inhale, reach the two apart. So nice. One more time, exhale. The two come together and then inhale and reach, and if you prefer it, you can put your left toes down on the ground. Remind yourself of oomph in your right shoulder, and then begin to bend your left knee and reach back with your right hand, and it doesn't have to hold on to anything, but you're breathing, and you can feel that same stretch in the front chest that you did when we led with our heart, the prayer behind our back, and in the poses where we were weaving that arm behind our back a moment ago. And then reach your right arm forward and your left leg back one more time. Release it all down onto your mat and find your child's pose. You can turn your wrists, but settle in. We've done some really great, pretty intense stuff so far today, so just give yourself a moment to pause and breathe. From our child's pose onto our belly, so that means props out of the way. Onto your belly you go. Forearms on your mat, Sphinx pose. Now, Sphinx is not too much head. So think chin parallel to the ground, and then traction your elbows towards you. So where our prayer was behind our back, the shoulder blades feel like they're imprinting our spine. Press into the tops of your feet right now and let your low belly lift, and you can probably feel that against the ground. 2 more moments as we are here. Collarbone smile. Definitely leading with our heart. It's going to be harder for your heart to lead you with what I'm going to do next, but just try to lend your heart to me even as we do this. So lower down enough that you can bring your elbows just maybe an inch closer to you. You'll see what I mean in a moment. Curl your toes under. Now start to press down like a karate chop in both forearms and lift your belly, your hips, your thighs, maybe even your knees off your mat, plank on your forearms. Nothing wrong with leaving your knees down. And here's the thing, I don't want you to sag your hips. That's a lot for your low back. So if anything, be a little too high with your hips. But you can kind of think that you want to have your shoulders and hips on the same line, and then bring your knees to your mat and your thighs to your mat and your hips to your mat. And traction yourself once again into your Sphinx pose. Isn't Sphinx sweet? Remind yourself that you're leading with your heart. And you can stay here if that was about enough of the forearm plank shenanigans for you. If you got one more in you, press down into your forearms, lift your belly, lift your hips, lift your thighs, curl your toes under, your knees can stay down, or play with lifting your knees off your mat. Last couple of moments, just like this. If you're wondering where to look, you could look at the front edge of your mat. So we're still not jutting with our chin. It's tempting to do that because it knows how to do that pretty well. All day long in front of our computer, right? Bring your knees down, thighs down, hips down, belly down. One last Sphinx, which is maybe where some of you have remained. And just feel your heart open, your chin stay parallel to the ground. 3 silent moments here. Gently, slowly, peel yourself into a child's pose. And from child's pose, we come seated in a cross-legged position. As you probably know, I'm a huge fan of a folded blanket for a cross-legged seat. I make a really nice, soft, pretty tall seat for myself. You might follow suit. Now, crossing right shin in front of left shin. So not crossing at the ankles here, but walking the feet a little bit closer to your knees is actually going to give you a little bit more sensation in the muscles around your hips, which is what we want. From here, interlace your hands behind your back like we did, remember, when we were standing in mountain pose, and drag those knuckles down towards the ground. Even here, though, it's not a collapse in the low back, so let it be that it's still leading from your heart, and then bend your elbows and tuck your little grandchild or your bag of groceries onto your right hip here. Magnetize the elbows towards each other, and you might add just the carefulest little tip of the right side of your head towards your right shoulder. If that doesn't feel right in your neck, just stay straight upright, because that's sweet too. And then bring yourself upright. Check which is the pinky on the bottom. Take your interlace towards the ground and swap it out so the other pinky's on the bottom. Bend your elbows, tuck now your groceries or grandchild onto your left hip, and then start to magnetize the elbows towards each other, but a lift of the low belly. If it felt good, the left side of your head might drop towards your left shoulder a little bit. Easy does it. Really great. Upright with your head. Take your interlace down towards the ground. Lean back so that we can now cross left shin in front. If you like the, blah, waggle in between, take it. Left shin in front. Construct it so that you have the shins, not just the ankles, crossed. Arms out to the side. Thumbs face down, like we've done a couple of times, and then just think back to when we were standing in our mountain and which of those prayers worked. Probably that's what you'll visit here. Might be a prayer behind your back. I think for the majority of us, a little fist pump behind the back or holding elbows. Either way, we lead from our heart. Nothing like a fist pump to be a heart offering. And kind of a fist pump has replaced a shaking of hands in the current moment. So you're rehearsing that too, and then we'll sip silence together here for a full minute. You can close your eyes, breathe through your nose. That was a full minute. Really great. Ease your arms out of whatever prayer it was. Let them sit in your lap for a moment and then decide, would you like to stay here in seated meditation to finish? Or do you want to lie down on the ground and do our final Shavasana meditation? I'm going to stay seated. Doesn't mean you have to. Let this be a place where you lead from your heart. If your heart tells you seated meditation is the sweetest spot today, great. If Shavasana is the sweetness, do that. And then another minute of silence to digest our practice and let it land solidly in our hearts. So great with your full minute of meditation. If you're lying on your back, gently draw your knees in towards your chest and roll carefully to either side. Use the strength of your arms. Take your time to come up and seat. Join those of us who are seated. And together, we fold a prayer in front of our very full hearts. Just a reminder to take our yoga and to lead from the heart after we've rolled up our mat, out in the world where I kind of think the real yoga happens. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I'm Andrea, and I look forward to us practicing again together soon.